What if everything you've been taught about money is technically correct, but emotionally incomplete? What if we're playing a game with a set of rules we memorized, but without understanding the real hidden physics of the field? We spend our lives learning the math of money, compound interest, price to earnings ratios, tax brackets. We're taught that finance is a field of numbers and spreadsheets, a game for the smartest people in the room. But that's only half the story. The other half, the more important half, is a story of emotions, of ego, of luck, and of the strange, unpredictable stories we tell ourselves. This isn't a video about what to do with your money. This is a video about what money does with you, about the unspoken psychology that separates financial stress from financial peace. It's about understanding that money, more than anything else, is a story you tell yourself. And today, we're going to rewrite that story. Let's start with the most uncomfortable idea in all of finance: luck. We love stories of success. We dissect the habits of billionaires. We study the investment strategies of the greats. We read their biographies looking for the secret formula. And in doing so, we perform a subtle but crucial mental trick. We attribute 100% of their outcomes to 100% of their actions. We see a brilliant entrepreneur and we think of their brilliance, their vision. And that's true, but we forget the timing, the unique circumstances, the rare opportunities that fell into their lap at the exact right moment. Their intelligence and drive were the engine, but luck provided the fuel and the open road. Now consider the flip side: risk. For every successful founder, there is someone just as smart, just as driven, who started a company that failed. Not because they were stupid or lazy, but because a competitor released a better product a month earlier, or a key employee got sick, or an economic downturn dried up funding. They took the same bold risk, but an unseen, unpredictable event, bad luck, derailed them. The lesson here isn't that success is random. It's that every outcome in life, especially with money, is a delicate blend of effort and the random winds of luck and risk. The same force, an unexpected event that creates a fortune, can also destroy one. Why is this so important to internalize? Two reasons. First, it breeds humility. If you acknowledge the role luck played in your own successes, you become less arrogant, more grounded. You stop looking down on those who are less fortunate, because you understand that their story could easily have been yours, with just one or two different twists of fate. And second, it teaches you to respect the power of the unknown. When you see someone driving a luxury car, your first instinct shouldn't be admiration or envy, but a quiet thought: that person took a lot of risk. And when you see someone who's fallen on hard times, your first instinct shouldn't be judgment, but that person encountered some bad luck. The goal is not to eliminate risk. That's impossible. The goal is to survive, to be financially unbreakable, so that when luck, good or bad, inevitably comes your way, you're still in the game, because the only thing that matters in the long run is staying in the game. There's a famous story on Wall Street about one of the most successful investors of his time. He had it all: wealth, respect, a legacy. But he got caught up in a massive, fraudulent scheme. He wasn't the perpetrator, he was a victim. He lost everything: his reputation, his fortune, his freedom. He ended up in prison. When asked why he got involved, why he risked it all when he already had more than he could ever spend, his answer was heartbreakingly simple: I felt I needed just a little more. This is the disease of never enough. In a world filled with extravagant displays of wealth, it's easy to lose perspective on what enough actually means. The hardest financial skill is not making money, it's knowing when to stop. Knowing when to say, this money, this house, this lifestyle, it satisfies my needs and the needs of my family. I am secure. I am free. I have won the game. The problem is that money is a game where the score is public. We see our neighbors' cars, our colleagues' promotions, our friends' vacation photos on Instagram. This constant comparison shifts our goalposts. It's no longer about, do I have enough to be happy and secure? It becomes, do I have more than them? And that is a game you can never, ever win, because there will always be someone with more. The most dangerous part of never enough is that it can blind you to the risks you're taking. When your goal is not security, but to have more, you start reaching for higher returns, using more leverage, taking bigger gambles. Like the mountain climber who, unsatisfied with the summit, tries to climb just one more peak in a gathering storm. The truth is, the margin between happy and never satisfied is surprisingly thin. It's not a number, it's a state of mind. It's the realization that the highest dividend money pays is the dividend of control over your time. To wake up in the morning and say, I get to decide what I do today. That feeling is worth more than any percentage point of extra return. So, ask yourself the most important financial question you ever will. What is enough for me? Define it. Write it down. And once you hit that number, the goal is no longer to get richer. The goal is to protect what you have, to stop playing a game you've already won, because the only way to win the game of more is to refuse to play. We've all heard the story of the investor who bought into a company early and became a millionaire. We look at that smooth, exponential curve on a chart and think, that must have been the plan all along. But let's zoom in on that chart. Let's look at it year by year. Many of the most successful companies in history have had near-death experiences. Their stocks have fallen 90%. They've been written off by the media. They've spent years going nowhere while the world passed them by. Most people who invested in them sold. They couldn't take the pain, the boredom, the fear. The point is, the overwhelming majority of the gains in any successful investment come from a tiny handful of days that are completely unpredictable. One study showed that if you missed just the 10 best days in the market over 20 years, your returns were cut in half. So, how do you capture those magical, unpredictable days? You have to be there. It's that simple. The key to building wealth isn't genius-level stock picking. It's consistency and longevity. It's being a perpetual survivor. It's about being financially unbreakable so that when the market falls 30, 40, 50%, as it will several times in your life, you don't panic and sell. You don't have to because your finances are built to withstand the shock. You can stay in your seat. This is what I call getting weirdly lucky. It's the luck you manufacture for yourself by simply staying in the game long enough for the winds of fortune to eventually blow in your direction. You're not a prophet. You're an oak tree. You're not trying to predict the storm. You're built to survive it. This requires a certain kind of financial temperament. It means your investment strategy must be boring, almost painfully boring. It has to be something you can stick with, not just in the good times, but through recessions, crashes, and bear markets. It has to be a plan that doesn't rely on you being a genius, but on you being patient and resilient. The financial world is dominated by a giant machine that is incentivized to make things seem complicated, to make you feel like you need to be constantly doing something. But the greatest power an investor has is the power of doing nothing, of letting the magic of compounding work over decades and having the emotional fortitude to not interrupt it. Your job is not to find the needle in the haystack. Your job is to sit on the haystack. We all know the story of compound interest. The classic example is a brilliant investor, but we often misunderstand why he's the greatest example. It's not just that he's a brilliant investor, it's that he's been a brilliant investor for an exceptionally, almost impossibly, long time. His net worth isn't a result of him getting higher returns than everyone else. In fact, if you look at his track record, there are many investors who have beaten him in any given year, or even over a decade. His secret is time. He started building his fortune in his early teens. The vast majority of his wealth was built after his 50th birthday. His skill was the engine, but compounding over 70 plus years was the rocket fuel. We focus on the rate of return, but the most powerful variable in the compounding equation is time. And because time is the one thing we can't buy more of, the only logical conclusion is to start as early as possible and to be relentlessly patient. But there's a psychological side to compounding that we often ignore. We expect progress to be linear. We put in $100, we expect to see $110 next year. But real compounding is quiet for long periods, and then it explodes. Imagine you tend a bamboo plant. You water it and care for it for an entire year, and you see nothing, not a single sprout. You'd be tempted to think you failed, to stop watering it, but underground, the root system is establishing itself. Then, in the second year, it can grow 90 feet. This is how compounding works in the real world. It's not a smooth upward slope, it's long periods of nothing, punctuated by brief, explosive periods of everything. This is why so many people fail at investing. They do the right thing. They save, they invest, and for years they see minimal progress. The market is flat. Their portfolio is stagnant. They get bored. They get impatient. They think, this isn't working, and they abandon the plan right before the explosive growth phase begins. Understanding this psychology is more important than understanding the math. The math is simple. The patience is superhuman. So, when you invest, you must make peace with the fact that you will not see dramatic results for a very, very long time. You are planting a tree whose shade you may never sit under. You are doing it for a future version of yourself and for the people who come after you. You are playing a game measured in decades, not quarters. The true power of compounding, then, is not intellectual. It's emotional. It's the ability to accept that your payoff is in the distant future and to be perfectly okay with that. We're taught that saving is about sacrificing for a specific goal, a down payment, a car, retirement. And while that's true, it misses the deeper, more profound power of saving. Saving is a hedge against life's inherent unpredictability. The future is not a predictable, linear path. It's a wild, chaotic landscape of surprises. Some wonderful, some terrible. You might get a dream job offer in another city. You might have a medical emergency. You might discover a passion for woodworking and want to start a business. You might have a chance to take a year off to travel with your family. If your savings are only earmarked for predefined, sensible goals, you are not prepared for the beautiful, strange, and difficult randomness of life. Money sitting in a savings account, earning a paltry interest rate, is often mocked by financial pundits. It's losing value to inflation, they cry, and they're not wrong, mathematically, but they're missing the psychological calculus. The value of that cash isn't just its financial return. Its value is its optionality. Having a pool of unallocated capital gives you options. It gives you control. It gives you the freedom to say yes to a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity or the strength to say no to a terrible situation without having to ask for permission or take on debilitating debt. Saving, therefore, isn't just about accumulating for a distant retirement. It's about buying flexibility today. It's about funding your future freedom, whatever form that freedom may take. And how do you save? The single most important factor is your personal mindset, what we might call your financial metabolism. Some people are born with a natural tendency to spend. They see money and their brain immediately generates ideas for its use. Others are natural savers. They get more pleasure from watching the number grow than from any object they could buy. Neither is morally superior, but if you are a natural spender, you must understand this about yourself. You can't fight your own nature for long. Instead of trying to become a monk of frugality, build systems that work for you. Automate your savings, make it invisible. Pay yourself first, and then give yourself permission to spend whatever is left without guilt. The goal isn't to maximize your returns. The goal is to maximize the probability that you will achieve your goals and have the freedom you desire. And that probability is directly tied to your savings rate more than any other factor. You can't control the market's returns, but you can always control how much you save. So save money, not for a thing, but for the possibilities. Save because it buys you time and options. Save because it's the one financial move that has zero risk and a guaranteed payoff in peace of mind. There's a strange asymmetry in the way we process information. We are seduced by pessimism. A pessimist sounds like a smart, sophisticated person who has seen the hidden risks. An optimist sounds like a naive cheerleader, blind to the impending doom. Pessimism is also more compelling. A headline that says, "The market is doomed to crash," gets more clicks than one that says, "The market will probably be okay." Extinction is a more thrilling story than survival, but here's the historical truth. The long-term trend of the world and of the economy is overwhelmingly upward. Innovation solves problems we can't yet imagine. Progress happens slowly, then all at once. This isn't blind optimism. It's a statistical fact. If you had bet on the collapse of civilization at any point in the last 100 years, you would have lost your money. Yet, Pessimism remains the default tone of intelligent commentary. Why does this matter for your money? Because if you let the constant drumbeat of negative news dictate your financial decisions, you will make terrible mistakes. You will pull your money out of the market at the bottom of every cycle. You will hide your cash under a mattress, watching it be eroded by the silent thief of inflation. You will miss the greatest wealth creating machine in human history because you were waiting for a safe moment that never comes. The goal is not to be a Pollyanna, it's to understand this bias and to resist it, to recognize that the world is not coming to an end, even when it feels like it is, to understand that the economy is not the stock market and the headlines are not your personal financial plan. The most successful investors are not eternal optimists. They are realists who understand that the long arc of history bends toward growth, and they have the emotional stability to not be shaken off that path by short-term fears. So, where does this leave us? We've talked about luck and risk, about knowing when you have enough, about the magic of survival, the profound patience of compounding, the raw power of saving, and the seductive lie of pessimism. None of this is about a specific stock tip or a magic budget. It's about building a financial psychology that is resilient, humble, and patient. It's about understanding that your personal experiences with money, the stories you've lived, have shaped your behavior more than any spreadsheet ever could. The most powerful thing you can do is to craft your own financial story, a story where the goal isn't to be rich, but to be free, a story where you define what enough is, and you have the courage to stop when you get there. A story where you are the calm, patient oak tree in the storm, not the frantic leaf blown about by every gust of news and market sentiment. Money is a tool, a powerful one, but it is a terrible master. The real wealth is not in your bank account. It's in the quiet confidence of knowing you control your time, your options, and your future. It's the peace of mind that comes from being financially unbreakable. So, go write that story. Make it a good one. Thank you for listening.